everyone, it's Kate and Elyse.
And we're downtown in Seattle's International District to try out some of Seattle's best Chinese restaurants.
And to learn about how Chinese immigration has impacted Seattle's food scene.
So come with us to find out. Now we're on our way to Dim Sum King.
And from some personal connections, we learned that they opened it just to make money.
And dim sum, if you guys don't know, is kind of like brunch, but basically people don't order like separate meals. It's just a bunch of small meals that everyone shares together.
Yeah. So before we dig deep into Seattle's history, we're gonna start off at the very beginning.
So many Chinese immigrants first came to America due to political and cultural conflict in their home country, mainly from the southeast part of China. They came and worked in gold mines, transcontinental railroads, and garment factories.
So Chinese immigrants first started opening restaurants in the United States to feed gold mine workers and to start businesses of their own. Many of these restaurants were owned by single men that needed to send money back to their family in China. And along with the creation of the merchant visa, if these men's restaurants were successful, they could sponsor their family back in China and they could come to America and live out the American dream.
Okay, now we're here. Let's go in. Okay, we just finished our meal from Dim Sum King and it was really good and I give it a 9 out of 10.
I also give it a 9 out of 10. Go try this
Yeah.
place. Our next stop is the famous restaurant Jade Garden, also known for its dim sum, and it's also known for its delicious leftovers. Its most popular dishes are dumplings, its steamed pork buns, and its hot and sour soup.
As you know, Washington was one of the very last developed states in the United States, and that is why many Asian immigrants came to Washington because they needed new workers. Many immigrants came and worked on the railroad that helped connect Washington to other states and kind of build their trade and economic growth. So without Asian immigrants, Washington wouldn't be how it is today. Welcome in.
So we just finished our meal at Jade Garden, and I would give it a 7 out of 10.
I'm gonna kind of harsh and give it a 6, but
It's okay. Everyone has their own preferences.
and we still have a lot more restaurants to try.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the end of day 1.
And so now we're gonna go treat ourselves to bubble tea.
Because we almost got jumped, but that's when we landed.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's day 2, and now we're going to Fortuna Cafe, which was first opened like 20 years ago by immigrant husband and wife, and it was just them that owned the restaurant. They didn't have any other workers. And as many loyal customers have said, they've never forgotten a face. But after many years of working, they decided they needed a break and they retired. But the business is still open, but owned by new owners. So that's where we're going, called Fortuna Cafe 2.0.
Now we're going to start talking about Chinese immigration to Seattle specifically. So Chinese laborers in the late 19th century were the first Chinese immigrants to come to Seattle, and they were involved in local industries, and eventually Chinese business leaders established organizations and gained wealth and started building their own buildings in Pioneer Square, which is where the original Chinatown was, but it unfortunately got burnt down during the Great Seattle Fire. So after it burnt down, they built a new community in the International District, which is what we now know as Chinatown in Seattle.
Okay, so now we're here in Fortuna Cafe, we just ordered, and let's talk a little bit about Chinatown. So Chinatown is so important because it has all these restaurants that were opened by Asian immigrants, and it just kind of gives residents of Seattle a place to kind of experience Chinese culture or Asian culture without having to obviously go all the way to China. And it's also a really good place for immigrants because it lets them experience their culture away from their home country in their new home. And it's also just a place for Seattle to grow and be more unique and embrace others.
So we just finished eating at Fortuna Cafe, and I think it was pretty good. I would give it about a 7 out of 10.
I give it an 8. The worker was really cute. She was like a really sweet, like old Asian woman. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I agree. And fortunately, we were able to get an interview from 2 Chinese immigrants with work experience in Seattle's food industry. So take a look.
去過5窯華 我今年呢鐵10鐵來，我係1980年10月3號來美國，我係成功嘅外省來㗎。
我係廖子華，1980年
10月3號，10月3號
10月3號來美國，我今年76歲。
來美國辦嘛，我有我那個啊，我那眼睛啊，咁啦，生活好活啦，好比整個好活啦。
萬，這都賺萬過，我嗰個後悔點用乜年來美國。
整個人來美國者咧。要好啊，要然後我送完咧，我都嘆乾到啦，為到我命倉真係努力啊，真係咧揾攤 lap 啊，嗰啲 low lap 啲之類啦，所以好我美國人嗰時咧，我咧整個嘆乾咧就好正因為整個嘅點心啊，揾攤麵啊，向我整個嘅炒麵啊嗰啲好啦。所以改變你美國人嘅
小妹啦、叉燒包啦咁啦，改變美國人吃不夠嘅海味啦，個好啊美國嘅然後呢 Chinese 嘅湯館嚟吃湯啦。
Okay, so now we're in front of the Toy Strong factory. This is the old factory because it has grown and expanded and now in Kent. But basically a little history behind this factory is when this man named Garth Louis immigrated to Seattle, he saw like the big influx of all these Chinese restaurants, but he didn't really see like a main company that was building noodles for for all the Chinese restaurants, so that's kind of what inspired him. And basically this company is very successful. Basically all of the workers here are Chinese immigrants, so it's kind of like a small little community built inside of the factory. And this factory is very successful. It's the largest noodle producers in the Pacific Northwest, and they create over 10,000 pounds of noodles a day, which I think is really cool. It is also important to note that current Chinese immigrants to Seattle come to seek an education at places like the University of Washington and to get an opportunity to work in the city's booming tech industry, which has also caused Chinese restaurants to grow at the same time because there's a new expectation of local food to represent the diverse backgrounds of the city's residents, which has caused many more restaurants to grow that sell dishes from various regions of China. So now our next stop is Taitung, which is the most famous Chinese restaurant here in Seattle because it is the oldest ever. It was first opened by Grandpa Tuan, who immigrated first to San Francisco in the early 1900s and then to Seattle in 1935 to open the restaurant. The Tuan family continues to serve very authentic meals and is very loved by many famous celebrities such as Bruce Lee and Tom Douglas. It's also Bruce Lee's favorite restaurant, so y'all should check it out for him. And it continues to serve food for 5 generations, and yeah.
As many of you may see, foods such as General Tso's chicken, chop soy, and beef and broccoli are considered fake Chinese food. That is not exactly the case though. Many Americans are surprised to learn that the most popular Chinese dish, chow mein, which is basically noodles with a mix of meat, vegetables, and egg, and chop soy, which is a mix of vegetables with meat, are dishes people back in China have never heard of before. When Asian immigrants came to America, they had to change their dishes to appeal to the American audience. Also, due to the lack of Asian ingredients in America, they had to change their recipes. For example, many restaurants in Seattle add seafood to dishes that typically wouldn't have seafood due to their proximity to a fresh supply. So even if they aren't authentic Chinese dishes, meaning they originated from China, these foods are authentic to the Chinese-American experience. Chinese food has grown in Seattle to be one of the most popular takeout and lunchtime dishes due to this appeal.
A current change in Seattle cuisine is that a lot of the country, due to perceived origins of COVID from China, has had a lot of people wary about eating in restaurants in Chinatown. Food normally eaten inside and served by others was now being served for pickup. There is a chance that it could change the way Chinese food and other Asian restaurants prepare food going forward. Dishes need to be takeout friendly, so menus are likely to have changed at least temporarily but potentially long term. This showed that localized and large events occurring in short time frames can have a long-term impacts to cuisine trends. It is quite possible that other events have occurred over the last 175 years since Chinese first came to Puget Sound region that changed the course of local cuisine forever and creating a more diverse environment for the Seattle food scene.
Hi guys, we just finished our food documentary. Here's all of our leftovers. This can feed us for the next week.
And I hope you guys enjoyed the video and come support these restaurants if you can. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, so we're here in Chinatown, and the waiter was so nice, and he gave us like the actual menu from what would you say it was?
It was from the 1950s, and it's like everything's super cheap. It's like a few cents, or it's like $1.
Like
and
a
it's
dollar.
Like,
Oh, it's like the dollar menu.
Yeah.
But like, look how cool that is. I love the people here.
草原广阔，层层风雨不能。